Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
So here we are on Zoom again. Zoom. Reading from Bhagavatam. I'm in London.
I'm in New York.
We're still reading Bhagavatam together. Just can't stop reading. We become Bhagavatam addicts. So we have a short time this evening because there's a 5-hour time difference and I'm ready for bed and she's just getting warmed up. So what are we doing today?
It's Canto 4, Chapter 20, Text 27.
And chapter is entitled?
What is there in it? Lord Vishnu.
Vishnu's appearance. We can read it together.
Lord Vishnu's appearance.
Sacrificial arena of Maharaj Great
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Right. Okay. Verse 27. Can you see that?
You'd have to be blind to not see that, right? Very nice how you've done this. You put it together very nice. I like the plaid background and the funny little shave. It's like it's definitely something straight out of Barbie. So it's nice. Very nice.
Right. Now I wish to engage in the service of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and to serve just like the goddess of fortune who carries the lotus flower in her hand, because his Lordship, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the reservoir of all transcendental qualities. I am afraid that the goddess of fortune and I would quarrel because both of us would be attentively engaged in the same service. Now that's not nice, is it?
What's not nice?
Well, it's her service, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's saying he's become so attracted to the Lord now after this whole experience that he just wants to serve the lotus feet of the Lord. So his devotion has increased so much that he's exaggerating and saying that he would quarrel with Lakshmi Devi because he would be so attentive at staying at the Lord's lotus feet.
Yeah, it's interesting because this whole thing occurred because Indra tried to do the same thing to Prithu, and I want to do all those horse sacrifices. You can't do them all. And so he kind of took his service or offering, and it seemed in a roundabout way, Prithu's, I know he's not going to really fight with Lakshmi, but I'm just saying that it's like the same thing, isn't it? No, I want to do the service of serving the lotus feet. It's interesting.
Interesting perspective. Okay. You want to read the purport?
All right. Purport.
Is this just the first paragraph?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Lord is here addressed as Akila Purushotam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord of the entire creation. Purusha means the enjoyer and Uttama means the best. There are different kinds of Purushas or enjoyers within the universe. Generally, they can be divided into 3 classes: those who are conditioned, those who are liberated, and those who are eternal. In the Vedas, the Supreme Lord is called the Supreme Eternal of all eternals, Nityo Nityanam. Both the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entities are eternal. The Supreme Eternals are the Vishnu Tattva, or Lord Vishnu, and his expansions. So Nitya refers to the personality of Godhead, beginning from Krishna to Mahavishnu, Narayan, and other expansions of Lord Krishna. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, Ramadi Murtisu, There are millions and trillions of expansions of Lord Vishnu as Ram, Narasimha, Varaha, and other incarnations. All of them are called eternal. Interesting emphasis on Krishna, the absolute truth, but other form, Vishnu, Narayan, being the enjoyer. Interesting.
Can you say that again? I didn't quite understand. It's interesting. Something Vishnu is the enjoyer. What?
Yeah, the point being made by Prabhupada is that Krishna, or I said Vishnu or Narayan, however you may refer to him, is the supreme enjoyer.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting on the back of the verse where Lakshmi is serving Krishna's lotus feet, massaging them, or Vishnu's massaging them and that. And then Prithu wants to do that. There's obviously a certain type of pleasure for the person, devotee who would do that. And then on the back of that verse, Prabhupada's pointing out that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. So it's a nice lesson as well, because one of the trappings that we can fall into in service, I would say deity worship especially, but other services as well, it's where it's about me, and you can get caught up in, the deity kind of like is forgotten in the midst of me, trying to put myself, like my stamp on the deities, it's a good, yeah, somehow. So it's just a reminder that these things are for his pleasure.
Okay. Very nice. Interesting. Okay, should we go to the next paragraph? Yeah, because in that paragraph it mentions that there are three types of Purushas. There's the conditioned, the liberated, and the eternally liberated, and it just described the Vishnus, Vishnu Tattvas, as eternally liberated. The word mukta refers to the living entities who never come within this material world. The buddhas are those living entities who are almost eternally living. I like that. We're almost eternally living within this material world. The buddhas are struggling very hard within this material world to become free from the threefold miseries of material nature and to enjoy life, whereas the muktas are already liberated. They never come into this material world. Lord Vishnu is the master of this material world, and there is no question of his being controlled by material nature. Consequently, Lord Vishnu is addressed here as Purushottam, the best of all living entities, namely Vishnu Tattvas and Jiva Tattvas. It is a great offense, therefore, to compare Lord Vishnu and the Jiva Tattva or consider them on equal level. The Mayavad philosophers equate the Jivas and the Supreme Lord and consider them to be one, but that is the greatest offense to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. Very powerful. So, yeah, the other two are explained here, the liberated and the conditioned. The muktas are those who are liberated. The buddhas are those who living entities that we often hear, Prabhupada will often say, those who are Nitya Siddhas or Nitya Buddhas. Nitya Siddhas are eternally liberated, Nitya Buddhas are eternally conditioned. But actually, both of them, because their jivas are tatashta, which means that they are marginal, and that means at any moment they can be the other. So it means, although I've heard some devotees try to say, yeah, if you're a Nitya Buddha, you're eternally conditioned. But that can't be the case because we're all here as conditioned souls, and we can become liberated by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. Is there a reason why you moved the screen down?
Yes. Can you not
Okay.
see it?
No, it's fine. I was just wondering if it just
Yeah,
happened or if you
just
did.
our both of us were getting chopped off a bit, so I just moved it.
Okay. So yeah, so this point is that, as Prabhupada says here, that the Buddhas are those living who are almost eternally living within the material world. So it feels like an eternity, but because likely we are Buddhas, Nitya Buddhas, we're people who came to the material world to try to enjoy, as it's explained here. We're struggling very hard. Raise your hands out there if you're struggling very hard within this material world. Yeah, Hare Krishna. And I'm trying to become free from the threefold miseries, but threefold miseries are whooping my backside left, right, and center. And I'm just trying to enjoy life. But the muktas, now they're already liberated. And Prabhupada says here, which is interesting, they never come into this material world.
Mm,
But Prabhupada is a Nitya Siddha, and he did come into the material world.
mm,
Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is a Nitya Siddha. He came into the material world. Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, Bhaktivedanta Thakur. So all these persons are eternally liberated souls who did come. The point is that they don't have to come, and they don't come into the material world in the same way that we come in. They come in ordained and designated by the Lord to come here to help to free the Buddhas. So the Siddhas, the Muktas, they come here to free the Buddhas. So like that. Anyways, lots more that could be said. But it's interesting how Prabhupada points out the Vishnu Tattva and Jiva Tattva, they are not the same, and it's an offense. And then he explains that the Maya bodies, they amalgamate them together and say that a Jiva can become God. And it's just
mm.
the greatest offense. So like that. That's my reflections. Any thoughts on that?
No.
Okay.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Here in the material world, we have practical experience that a superior person is worshipped by an inferior one. Similarly, Purushottam, the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna or Lord Vishnu, is always worshipped by others. Prithu Maharaj therefore decided to engage in the service of the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. Prithu Maharaj is considered to be an incarnation of Lord Vishnu, but he is called a Shakti Avesh avatar, no incarnation. Another significant word in this verse is Gunalayam, which refers to Vishnu as the reservoir of all transcendent qualities. The Mayavadi philosophers, in accordance with the personalistic view, take the absolute truth to be nirguna, without qualities. But actually, the Lord is the reservoir of all good qualities.
Oh,
Hmm?
is that it? That
Yes.
giggle was meant to speak 1,000 words?
No, I'm pondering.
Oh.
What stood out is in the material world, we have practical experience that a superior. No, it's raining again. We have practical experience that a superior person is worshipped by an inferior one.
Hmm.
Interesting. Interesting. Just before I came on this call, I was just seeing on the headlines. Anyway, it's all getting messy here in the US because they've got the elections coming up. And it was just someone actually very well respected, actually, very well by devotees in the political field, got put on the watch list, US fly watch list, which is quite shocking why they would do that to this person. And it turns out it's because they spoke out against who are they? The Democrats. And it's, you know, some scandal going on. It's quite scary, but it's shocking. And it was just making me think, yeah, you know, like this point is very much abused in the material world, you know. You don't worship me, if you don't serve me, if you know, if you turn against me, you're kind of crushed, you know. Quite scary. Whereas with Krishna, it feels like he's like, all right, whatever. You don't want to worship me. You go and play in the material world.
You can go and try to enjoy. Give it your best shot. You'll
Yeah, but
never succeed.
then he
You'll
goes,
always feel frustrated. Go ahead.
no, but then he goes with you as well.
Oh, yeah, that's true. He talks so quietly that you never hear him. He whispers, and you're not sure if it's him. Is that him in my mind, or what is it? Yeah, it's true though. He tries to facilitate. It's raining here now as well.
Oh my goodness, raining cats and dogs.
Oh
Right,
goodness.
this is the final paragraph of this verse. It's quite a long verse of purport.
Okay. One of the most important qualities of the Lord is his inclination to his devotees, for which he is called Bhaktivedanta. The devotees are always very much inclined to render service unto the lotus feet of the Lord, and the Lord is also very much inclined to accept loving service from his devotees. In that exchange of service, there are many transcendental transactions which are called transcendental qualitative activities. Okay. Some of the transcendental qualities of the Lord are that he is omniscient, omnipresent, all pervasive, which I think is the same as omniscient is all knowing, and omnipresent means he's everywhere, which is similar to all pervasive. But anyway, all powerful, the cause of all causes, the absolute truth, the reservoir of all pleasures, the reservoir of all knowledge, the all auspicious, and so on. Interesting. Yeah, it's the purport. That paragraph started off really powerful, and I thought it was going to go a certain space, because Prabhupada glorifies the relationship between the devotee and the Lord, and especially the inclination of the Lord towards his devotee. He's known as Bhaktivedanta. And then he says the devotees always are inclined to render service to the Lord, lotus feet of the Lord, and the Lord is always very much inclined. He says to accept loving service from his devotees. Bhaktivedanta means that, yeah, he's favorably disposed to his devotees. He's inclined to his devotees. But then it kind of goes into this other thing that it says that in that exchange, there are many transcendental transactions, which are called transcendental qualitative activities. It's like, huh? It's kind of a bit weird. I get it. In that exchange of service, there are many transcendental transactions. So many things happen in the exchange between the Lord and his devotee. So many different types of interactions, rasas, relationships. They're called transcendental qualitative activities. Transcendental qualitative activities. It means quality of the activity is that it's transcendental. Some of the transcendental qualities of the Lord are that he's omniscient. Yeah, it just kind of goes in a way that it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you kind of, it's like, where did that go? Why? Like something seems to be, but yeah, anyway, interesting. But yeah, I think the main thing is how the Lord is so inclined to the devotees, and the devotees are obviously inclined to the Lord. And although he is impartial, and excuse me, but yet he is naturally disposed or naturally inclined to his devotees. So like that. Anyway, I think that's it. Anything else?
Yeah, it's interesting because I thought it might touch, the purport might touch upon the point in the verse about Prithu Maharaj wanting to date Lakshmi's service and they'll have a fallout.
Yeah, it's like sometimes what you hope is going to be in the purport and explained or elaborated on doesn't really get
Yeah.
elaborated on.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I guess, oh, excuse me. I guess we could look up. I guess we could look up Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, because most of Prabhupada's purports are based on his commentary. But so anyway, it's nice. It's a very nice verse and purport. Very beautiful. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Thank you,
Srimad
everybody.
Bhagavatam ki jai.
Bye.
So why don't you close the PDF and then they can just see the two of us on the screen.
Oh, okay.
Are we both on the screen?
Yeah, can't you see?
No, because I can choose my own. It's interesting because I can choose my own way to look at it. I can choose gallery and you choose your way. But they're seeing however you've chosen for them to see it. So
Yeah. All right, everybody.
anyway, thank you.
They don't need to hear this rambling.
Thank you very much for tuning in, everyone. Sorry we're not, it's going to be a couple more weeks of readings like this, I guess. I've been trying to get some readings in with some different devotees, but it hasn't quite manifested yet. So let's see how that works out. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Nice to read
Krishna.
with you, Bhava Bhakti. Have a beautiful evening.